Indigo Epic is a pleasure to ride. It's this beautiful ribbon of trail that goes through this amazing pieces of forest. It's a really beautiful place to ride your bike. I love the flowiness of it. There's a couple places where if you can do some jumps. It's a beautiful place to be.
Today we explore the Indigo Epic Trail, a unique 50-kilometre mountain biking trail that connects the historic towns of Beechworth and Yackandandah in northeast Victoria. This trail is a result of a remarkable collaboration between local mountain biking clubs, businesses and the Indigo Shire Council. Their shared vision aims to boost tourism, promote community health and celebrate the natural beauty of the region. The Indigo Epic Trail offers riders an immersive experience through stunning forests, heritage sites and diverse landscapes. Riders can expect flowing single tracks, challenging climbs and exhilarating descents, making it a must-visit destination for mountain biking enthusiasts. The project's origins date back to 2014, when local cycling groups including the Yackandandah-based Yak Tracks and the Beechworth Chain Gang envisaged a trail linking their two towns. Let's find out how the Indigo Epic went from long-time community idea to world-class epic mountain bike track that really lives up to its name.
The Indigo Epic Bike Trail started as a little idea of a few local club members and local riders.
This particular trail is different in that it links two towns together.
It links Beechworth to Yackandandah or Yackandandah to Beechworth.
The track itself is designed to be a wilderness and heritage sort of immersive experience.
It's unique in the fact that it's 100% single track. There is no fire road or double track, it's single track all the way. And for mountain bikers, that's really important.
We really wanted to get into the forest and to be a little bit more environmentally interested, if you like.
The trail itself is quite a unique riding experience. You know, mountain biking is very popular in the northeast of Victoria.
Yak Tracks Mountain Bike Club, we formed in about 2014. There'd been quite a few of us local riders belting around in the forest for a long time.
It's sort of been a mountain bike town for the last 25 or so years. The local community got together and created Yak Tracks. It was called the Yobbos actual first, which is Yackandandah's old blokes biking on Sundays.
Beechworth and Yackandandah mountain bike scene were pretty separate. Beechworth was the first to have a mountain bike park. Yackandandah have a group of dedicated locals called the Yak Yobbos who've spent a lot of time building their own network of trails in Yackandandah.
We didn't have any approved trails, so we could only really ride the roads out in the forest. We made it a point to build ourselves some tracks in the forest, and it quickly became obvious that we had to formalise the network that we had and formalise some of the trails we had if we were to protect them.
There were some unsanctioned trails that eventually found their way between the Beechworth head of the trail and the Yackandandah network. The Beechworth side ran through HVP pine plantations. The link of trails probably only existed for a few years before a thinning program started in the plantations, which basically deleted the trails. It wasn't by design, it was just farming practice for those guys. And then the local Beechworth group really got interested in how can we link the networks together through native forests, not through farmed log forests. And that's basically the route on which the official trail now runs.
So from humble beginnings as a small handmade track, the Indigo Epic had a long way to go to reach its epic status. In order to get this project off the ground, the Indigo Shire Council came on board and funded a feasibility study.
It came down to one key person. Clayton Neal was the Economic Development Officer for Indigo Shire at that time, and he picked the project up and actually put it in front of council and said, I think this thing could have legs.
We've got really active mountain biking groups within our community. They came to us with an idea and we were able to work with them as Indigo Shire Council to work on a feasibility and a business case, and it just kept progressing from there. They absolutely spurred us on to really make sure that this thing kept progressing, and it did.
It became, I think, the #1 recommendation for infrastructure cycling projects in Indigo Shire that should be pursued, something that could be, shovel ready.
Council got all the key groups together, the land managers and all the people who were going to be involved in this thing, and just started that process of forming an idea and looking down the track and seeing, well, if certain things came together, could we make this happen?
So it sort of started with, that local push and local community of wanting it to happen, probably doing it the way it shouldn't have been done, and then finding someone that would back them and get it over the line.
There are specific criteria for creating an epic trail from the International Mountain Biking Association, also known as IMBA. To be classified as an epic mountain biking trail, the trail must meet several key criteria set down by IMBA. First and foremost, it must offer a true backcountry experience, immersing riders in remote and scenic landscapes. The trail should span at least 32 kilometres, showcasing a variety of terrains and technical features that challenge riders while providing a rewarding and exhilarating ride. It must be accessible to a range of skill levels, from intermediate to advanced, ensuring both safety and excitement. An epic trail also needs to be well maintained and sustainably built, minimising environmental impact while offering a continuous flowy ride. Finally, the trail should have significant community support and contribute to the local economy, enhancing tourism and promoting outdoor recreation.
Mountain biking projects, they take a long time. They take a very long time. And the reason is there is a huge amount of work that's needed up front with the land managers. My involvement in this project is around, coming up to 4 years, and there was at least 2 years worth of planning needed, going through, working with land managers like Parks Victoria, like HVP and DECA, to even get them across the line to say, okay, we're good to go here, yes, you can do it. There's always a lot of, can we even do this? Why are you guys doing it? You'll never get it through. One of my important roles was to make sure that we did push forward, that we kept the momentum going, that we didn't get bogged down with some of these decisions, and that we looked for solutions. That's a key element, right? If someone says, no, you're not putting a trail through here, then we could have just walked away. But we decided, no, what about if we do this? What about if we do this? Look, there's always a way. If you look at it in the community, the mountain biking community, they're like, why isn't someone digging the trail? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So there's managing those expectations. We can't dig the trail yet, but we're getting there.
There was obviously multiple routes through the forest that could have been taken. We gave council 3 options that a small group of us came up with. So we did a lot of work on the ground. We gave council the options for their business case. This route was selected, and that's how we got to that next stage of actually angling for construction.
With the route planned and the trail selected, there are now new issues to contend with. After the break, we're going to find out about the difficulties the project faced with so many land managers and the challenge of cutting all the red tape. See you soon. Welcome back to Community Designs. With so many land managers involved in the project, extensive collaboration was required between the community biking clubs, Indigo Shire Council, and the land managers themselves. The land managers included Parks Victoria, HVP Pine Plantations, Heritage Victoria, Forest Fire Management, and the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action, also known as DECA. Given the number of stakeholders involved, there was a significant chance that the project wouldn't go ahead at all. Reaching a consensus was no easy feat. Each party had their own concerns, and it required ongoing dialogue, compromise, and innovative thinking to align everyone's objectives.
To try and get everyone together and aligned was quite tricky. The hardest part was getting approval to put trail in a national park, which required, some interesting interpretations of the National Park Act. It can be a bit of a minefield to actually navigate some of that. We ended up using what's known as a tourism lease, infrastructure lease. It was the first time that that type of infrastructure had actually been applied in that way. So that was a unique solution that we ran with. To Parks Vic credit, they were on board with that as an approach. It wasn't an easy thing to do.
The process leading up to the trail being constructed was very much collaborative with all the stakeholders that were involved. The people who drove it were the two clubs. Representatives of those clubs were the most important people in the room, but everybody else, all the authorities, obviously needed to be across everything that was being planned.
It was largely worked out, the Yak Tracks Club and Beechworth Chain Gang on their side, they had a pretty good idea because of their local knowledge on how they wanted the track to go.
That it had to use some of the Yak Tracks mountain bike network, and it obviously had to get from a certain place to another place. So you couldn't just magically pick out the very best piece of land in the forest and use that, because you might not get there.
Ground truthing is a vital part of developing any major trail like the Indigo Epic. Essentially, it's the process where experts and land managers physically walk the proposed trail route to verify that it aligns with both environmental and practical requirements. While initial plans might be drawn up using maps or aerial photos, ground truthing ensures that those plans work on the actual terrain.
The next steps involved in trail development are doing that ground truthing with the technical experts. You've got trail constructors, cultural heritage, ecological impact assessment teams, you've got ecologists out there, all together as a group going around. It's the most effective and efficient way to do it, because if you do it individually, an ecologist will have one way they want to go, but someone who's looking at historic heritage is going to have a different way they want to go. There might be several different ways you could go through a historic site, but maybe there's one way that's less impact. So it's a balancing act.
The goal is to create a route that's both sustainable and enjoyable, while minimising environmental impact and respecting historical areas. For the Indigo Epic, this careful on-the-ground work was crucial in getting approval from the land managers. Once the land managers were all in agreement and the trail approved, it was finally time for the shovel to hit the earth. Navigating the challenges of steep and rocky terrain might seem daunting, but once the groundwork was laid and the plans were in place, the actual building of the trail was surprisingly straightforward.
So the construction process for mountain bike trail, believe it or not, is probably the easiest bit of the whole project.
So the trail was constructed by a company called Trailscapes from South Australia, a really good crew of guys who once again really embraced what it was we were trying to put into place here.
The two main ways of creating trail are to hand dig it with hand tools or to machine build it, with a small 1.7 tonne excavator. So in actual fact, this trail has a bit of both, because the Yak Tracks network, which we've used for part of it, was created by hand.
It's very different to the Yak Tracks network and some of the earlier stuff that was built by Beechworth Chain Gang, because they were all hand-built trails, so they naturally end up narrow because you've got a limited amount of resource and a limited amount of ability to shift a lot of earth.
Obviously, hand digging is a lot more work, takes a lot longer, needs more people, definitely always ends up with a narrower trail.
So Trailscapes use excavators, so that naturally means that the trail has to be at least 1200 millimetres wide, and that fundamentally changes what you build.
It's a different ride experience than if you're in a machine-built trail with the flowy shapes that they work with the landscape, and it's just an incredible ride experience riding on that trail.
Because you're building with an excavator, it actually gives you the freedom to make the trail sustainable, in that you can create features for the riders and drainage and keep the trail hopefully in good condition for years to come.
The shapes of the trail with the reverse grading drains water off the tracks. You don't get as much erosion as you ordinarily would, so you're not having to do as much maintenance on it, even though you're putting bikes on it.
So there is a combined benefit of both flowy and enjoyable ride, as well as less trail maintenance. But what about actually choosing where the trail goes as it winds through the backcountry?
So when the ground truthing team goes through, they flag that alignment, they ensure that the alignment is GPSed accurately. When the trail constructors come through, they're following that alignment that's in the field, if it's flagged. We always allow a little bit of sort of it's called micro sighting, so that when the constructors are going through, they can actually go, okay, well, I think it's probably better to go slightly higher there. There's an element of adjustment that goes on. You'll have a digger, so that's the 1.7 tonne excavator, the main guy is operating that. He's picking the shapes of the track in conjunction with his team, and then behind him, there's a bunch of guys that are finishing the trail and make it all neat and smooth, fix all the drainage, and they've got to work out how bridges are going to work with the trail. There's a few sort of technical elements to that.
There is some really tough country in this forest. There's some really steep slopes, there's some really rocky areas. We were very lucky. This forest from the 1850s on was heavily gold mined. There was lots of water races cut throughout the forest on good low gradients that allowed us to perhaps get into some steep country that we wouldn't have been able to get into if it was just raw.
If you look at around 9 Mile Creek, there's a lot of rock. That was probably the hardest bit to do from a build perspective. It's technical, it's difficult, there's very high exposure on side slopes. It wasn't easy. There was a lot of elements there that they had to be very careful about and make sure that it was as safe as possible. The trail through there, in my mind, is kind of like the piece de resistance of that element. It's just an awe-inspiring section of terrain and just natural beauty, and just it's an incredible viewing experience. There's secret waterhole, cascading rivers, this huge rock gorge, and you sort of feel like you're riding along the side of it, as you're coming in and out of the area, and it's a pretty magic experience in there.
And what about the environmental impact?
One of the benefits and one of the decision points that we took for this trail was to ensure that the actual route minimised native vegetation impact, and so sometimes the trail was actually put deliberately through areas of weed infestation, blackberry being the main one, with the view that the trail itself provides access to actually do weed management and allows that native vegetation adjacent to the trail to then colonise the area and improve it. Those are the sort of decisions that you take when you're out in the field to minimise the amount of impact you're going to have in the landscape.
With the trail built and the two towns linked, it has been a long, hard journey, but a journey well worth it. After the break, we'll hear about the many changes in both Beechworth and Yackandandah since the Indigo Epic's completion.
Whilst filming community designs in Beechworth, our crew chose to stay with Beechworth Wildlife Stays. Embark on a luxurious nature retreat. Their spacious glamping tents provide a perfect blend of comfort and adventure, offering scenic bushland views and top-notch amenities. And discover the wonders of Australia's fauna firsthand, including Fovian, the freshwater crocodile, with fully equipped tents featuring a kitchenette, lounge area, and outdoor deck with barbecue. Your getaway promises both relaxation and excitement. Book now at beechworthwildlifestays.com.au for an unforgettable escape.
Tourism is an extremely important part of the economy in northeast Victoria. With the trail now open, it's expected to draw even more visitors to the region, boosting local business and showcasing the stunning native forest and local area.
Tourism is really important to Beechworth and to the broader Indigo Shire region.
Northeast survives on tourism. Not all of it, but the tourism side of the industry, like your pubs, your hotels.
This place is really a community-driven space, but it can't just survive on that alone, and tourism now is an essential part of what this place is.
We wouldn't have many of the things that we have available to us if it wasn't for tourism. So tourism, provides revenue and jobs and all those sorts of things.
The good thing with tourism is it allows the sustainability of businesses in town like cafes. We've got a really nice range of cafes, distilleries, breweries now that we just never used to have.
We get a lot of tourists here to see the heritage and the history of the region, Ned Kelly of course.
It's really important to Yackandandah and to the area in general because it's bringing visitation, it's showing people what we have to offer, and there's lots of things to see and do besides ride a mountain bike, and people need to see that.
Each month we're getting up to 1,000 riders, probably more. The Yak Tracks network, which is connected and is part of the Epic Trail, gets around 10,000 riders per year. It's a very strong product in our tourism mix.
There's a lot more bikes on the back of cars, down the main street, in coffee shops. Cyclists are there, so it's getting utilised very well.
It's always increasing. I think anyone in Australia would notice, just in general, there seems to be more people on holiday with bikes. People come to Beechworth on holiday, so more of them are going to have bikes.
Between the towns of Beechworth and Yackandandah, we've seen an 18% increase in some of the spend map data that we've got. It is a really important piece of our tourism now.
Tourism to Beechworth is extremely important. It's sort of where I earn my livelihood. The business we're involved in is pretty fun. We make beer and pizza and things like that, and then linking that to the other things we enjoy, like mountain biking. We have a bike wash station at the brewery that we set up for mountain bikers, for anyone, but mountain bikers in general, and we know that gets used much more than it did 12 months ago.
With so many mountain bikers riding the Epic, the trail has been a huge success. Let's hear from the locals and visitors who've experienced the Epic ride firsthand.
The feedback from the Epic is it's brilliant. People love it. I cannot stipulate that enough. They congratulate the local communities on the jobs they've done.
The feedback we've received has been overwhelmingly positive. Most of the people who make the effort to come here and ride this trail, it's a very rewarding thing to do, and it's a great place to be.
I was lucky enough to be at the end on the day that it opened and watch the first few riders come through, sweaty, excited, and just absolutely gushing with pride that we have this product in our area. We had people come from all over to open it, and they just could not speak highly enough about how well built the product was and how they couldn't wait to come back and bring friends.
From a personal perspective, it's fun to ride. Sometimes it's a long ride, it's a hard ride to get back from Yackandandah. I know it's getting used. I'm closely linked to the mountain bike club.
I really enjoy the way that the trail has this crazy choose your own adventure style. You can start in Beechworth, you can start in Yak, you can ride up to the top of the Stanley State Reserve, or you can ride the whole trail. It's just a complete smorgasbord of options.
My favourite part of the Epic is the section that rolls down into Beechworth is brilliant, and the section that rolls back to Yackandandah is brilliant. They're flowing, lovely downhill.
Most people, the Indigo Epic is all about the 6K descent into Yackandandah. To me personally, I really like, there's 3 other descents before you get there. They're short, they're really fast, the scenery is spectacular. You're crossing bridges, there's ferns and different gullies and switchbacks. It's just really, really great riding.
The Beechworth side of the Epic Trail it's a very blue trail, so there's nothing really too technical in it. Anyone that has a little bit of skill and stamina can ride it. And if you're going to do the whole loop, which makes a bit of a figure 8, it's about 50 kilometres to Yak and back, you do have to pack more than a sandwich. It's a fairly decent ride. There's some beautiful parts of the country that even when I rode it for the first time, I wasn't expecting to see these beautiful big tree ferns. It's absolutely gorgeous in there, but it's a big epic ride. You need to have a lot of stamina if you're going to attempt the 50K, or an e-bike perhaps.
The trail has been designed and built in a really clever way that it's got A and B lines or rollable features or jumpable features. So if you're not as confident, you can be very happy rolling and taking it a bit easier. And if you're more confident and more advanced rider, you can do big jumps and link up different features. So the trail builders have done a fantastic job.
The Indigo Epic Trail stands as a shining example of what can be achieved when a community comes together with a shared vision. From its humble beginnings to the completion of a world-class mountain bike track. The journey to get here has been epic within itself. The dedication of local clubs, the support of council and land management groups, and the expertise of trail builders. The Indigo Epic has not only met, but exceeded expectations. The trail isn't just a dirt track. It's a connector of communities, a boost to local tourism, and a testament to the power of collaboration. The trail's success is already being felt, with riders from all over discovering what makes this trail so special. Whether it's the thrill of tackling a challenging downhill or making it to the pub at the end, the Indigo Epic has something for everyone. And with that, we say goodbye, but the journey doesn't end here. Grab your bike, get out on the Indigo Epic Trail, where this adventure keeps on going.